Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
This is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes.
He knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
Recently, we revealed the intense confrontation between the new White House spokesperson Karoline Leavitt and Whoopi Goldberg, but we did not reveal the complete, unfiltered chaos, the shocked expressions, the dramatic eye movements, and the unexpected reactions captured on video that left the audience completely stunned. So get ready, because what happens next will leave you speechless.
I, too, am a working mom and always have been. I've been a professional woman since I graduated from college or law school. But now there's, I think, a good thing, which is like the restoration of valuing so-called traditional, moms, and that's great. The women who take care of their kids full time, most of my best friends are doing exactly that. But it seems like in the right, there's like a bit of a shift toward like, you can't do what Karoline's doing. That's actually like an unsafe or a dangerous or a bad choice for families, for children, which I reject wholesale, but you hear it more and more.
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
When Karoline fired back on live television, the so-called woke crowd did what they always do. They reacted instantly. They flooded the internet with outrage, trying to drag her down simply because she stood her ground against Whoopi, the self-proclaimed icon of progressive Hollywood. But here is where it took a strange turn. Rather than challenging her facts, her ideas, or even her delivery, they went after her as a mother. Yes, in the year 2025, they resorted to outdated thinking and questioned why a woman with a 7-month-old baby was even working. That was their big argument, not that she was incorrect, but that she should be home. No evidence, no logic, just outright mom shaming from people who constantly preach choice, liberty, and advancement, all because Karoline outperformed Whoopi in an unscripted moment. The same group that shouts women can do anything suddenly reversed course, but only when this particular woman did things her own way. Apparently, if you dare to outperform a daytime television host, you are expected to retreat to your kitchen, bake cookies, and reconsider your life choices. That is not support, that is flat-out double standards masked with trending slogans. And let us be honest, Karoline was not saying anything outrageous. She was presenting clear, logical arguments. So why is this digital crowd attacking a dedicated mother who is simply doing her job? What happened to lifting up women who actually put in the work? Now pay attention. Karoline does not just reply, she dismantles the criticism with steady confidence, like brushing away a fly using a golden hammer. No shouting, no drama, just truth. She makes it clear, yes, a person can be a parent and pursue a career. You do not need to give up who you are for either a shocking idea, right? Someone should notify the internet. Common sense has not vanished, but here is the twist. She keeps going. She steps away from the script and proudly supports traditional principles while staying authentic, acknowledging that balancing motherhood with a demanding role is genuinely difficult.
I would reject that it's a bad choice. Is it a tough choice? Absolutely. You know, as a mother, you want to be with your child 24/7. You have that maternal instinct.
27.
Yeah. Not all the time. Well, right now, yes, because he's 7 months and just squishy and lovable, but I'm sure that will change. No, but you know, you do have that maternal instinct, but also recognizing, like, I'm doing this work for my son and for all children to make this country better. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Honestly, Karoline is making some solid points, and I have no idea why people are hating on a hardworking mother in the first place. Let's see what she has to say next.
It's also it's temporary, right? In 4 years, my son will be 4 years old, and the president will no longer be at the White House, and then I'll move on and do something else. But, you know, this chaos of 24/7 work is a temporary matter. And that's what at least I tell myself to get through these very long and hard days. But I would reject that you can't be a good mom and be good at your job. I think you can do both. It certainly it's not for everybody. And it takes a lot of work and will and faith and prayer. And it's hard, but it can be done. And, you know, I would reject that.
Honestly, Karoline is sharing real and strong ideas, and it makes no sense why anyone would target a dedicated working mom in the first place. Let us see what she says next.
I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs?
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality.
And here is the twist. She openly says that not every woman is meant for this life. A woman boldly admitting my journey is not for everyone instantly causes shock across the digital world. Forget the outdated chant that says you either do it all or you fail. As a feminist, Karoline Leavitt completely challenges that belief. Instead of repeating overused slogans, she offers real insight with steady confidence. She reminds everyone that women who choose to be full-time mothers are not going backward. They are stepping into one of the most vital roles there is. Raising the future generation is not a weakness, it is a form of strength. She does not just win the argument, she uncovers the truth and lays it all out. Karoline reveals that behind all the loud phrases and supposed empowerment, the very people shouting about equality are often the first to criticize mothers who walk a different road. What is that smell? Oh, just a mix of fake feminism and outdated mom shaming. But right when you think the internet critics cannot sink any further, they somehow find a new low out of nowhere. They shift into complete conspiracy mode. Yes, the same group that constantly pushes science and facts suddenly abandons all logic and dives straight into wild theories like something from a deep internet rabbit hole. Now they are not just mad, they are creating ridiculous claims that sound more like a sketch from a late-night comedy show.
A lot of women are preparing themselves for the impact of the incoming administration, which has led to this growing mantra from male right-wing incels: your body, my choice. Say that to my face.
Believe it or not, the newest rumor going around is that Elon Musk, the guy who is launching rockets into orbit and changing the entire car industry, is supposedly secretly trying to take down Donald Trump by pushing him down a flight of stairs. Yes, seriously, because apparently when you are a billionaire genius, you throw out any smart strategy and go straight to childish tricks. And who is spreading this wild story? None other than the hosts of The View, acting like their casual morning talk suddenly turned into an official federal investigation, all because Karoline Leavitt had the nerve to outthink their favorite Whoopi Goldberg. Now they want revenge, and they are dragging both Trump and Elon into it too. It sounds like something straight out of a political comedy show, but nope, this is actually happening. But Karoline was not having any of it. She responded strongly, calmly, and clearly shutting down the nonsense with solid logic that hit harder than a brick wall. Her reply was so direct and effective that the conspiracy crowd was left scrambling to invent their next ridiculous theory. And as for Whoopi, instead of facing Karoline one-on-one, she chose the easier path, making passive remarks from a distance, because deep down, even she knows that going head-to-head with Karoline is like walking into spinning blades, while blindfolded. It is not a debate, it is a guaranteed disaster.
Must have really wrestled with how you were going to meet the high bar set by Corinne Jean-Pierre. Was that... Sorry. Is that out loud? No, she was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how has your approach differed, would you say?
I think it's vastly different. And if you ask people, even in the legacy media, even the Trump haters, they will tell you the approach has been much different. Not just for me, but the entire White House. Oh, absolutely. They come in my office every day and they'll admit that off the record.
Oh.
Maybe not on the record, but they will say they appreciate the access and the transparency and the preparation that goes into my briefings and everybody on our team.
Whoopi Goldberg did not go face-to-face with Karoline Leavitt. Instead, she changed direction and launched her next attack on Donald Trump. But what happened next even surprised longtime viewers live on national television. After saying Trump's name, Goldberg actually spat. Yes, she spit like a cartoon villain who just tasted something awful. Real professional, right? Because nothing says intelligent political debate like spitting during your sentence. But Leavitt was not going to ignore that. She responded fast with words that were sharp, clear, and absolutely cutting. With the calm focus of a surgeon and the power of a freight train, she said exactly what people were thinking. This is what counts as a debate now, when there are no facts to stand on. Goldberg turns into a playground act, Leavitt pointed out. Imagine being so shaken by hearing a person's name that you start spitting like a little kid who refuses to eat broccoli. And honestly, she was right. It was not confidence, it was desperation, and it came Across badly, Leavitt did not hold anything back. She called out the obvious double standards without hesitation.
IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year. And it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year, just over multiple years, from 2015 to 2022.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from people like you and
the same people who constantly talk about manners and respect are the ones turning live television into a full-blown circus where spitting takes the place of arguments and name-calling replaces thoughtful discussion, and of course the internet lit-up memes started spreading faster than the producers could cut to a commercial break, and the public made their feelings known. One person said, "These women are going to have to hide eventually. I would not feel safe walking outside if I were any of them." Support for Karoline Leavitt started pouring in, and Whoopi's dramatic move completely backfired. Some viewers were not staying quiet, calling out Goldberg for what they saw as disrespect toward every single person who voted for Trump. One viewer said, "She literally spit on half the country." Others doubted whether it was even real. One comment said, "I am pretty sure they pay her extra to act like this." Now zoom out for a second, because what Karoline Leavitt just did might be bigger than anyone saw coming in. One smooth moment, she did more than shut down her critics. She pulled back the curtain on legacy media, and the most vocal anti-Trump voices, the same people who have been attacking her non-stop, questioning her experience, making fun of her for being a mom, dragging her name at every opportunity. If she blinks the wrong way, an article is online before she can even finish her sentence. But behind the scenes the story is very different. Reports say some of these same critics have been quietly visiting Leavitt in her office, smiling, shaking hands, and even thanking her for actually giving them real access to information. Apparently Biden's team had shut them out, and now they are quietly appreciative.
How do you prepare? Because you can't know everything, and you could get asked anything. And unlike Karine Jean-Pierre, you're not out there reading and furiously flipping through your tabs to try to find an answer somebody else has written for you. So how are you preparing?
So I did prepare a binder for the first briefing. My great assistant, Keegan, put it together. And then I showed up to work, and it was like this thick. And I was like, I can't even move this. I can't use this. It was too cumbersome for my brain and the way I learn and think and study to have that. It felt like added weight. And I said, I want to just go in there and speak from my mind and from my heart.
Like your boss.
Like my boss.
So while they tear her apart online off camera, they are all smiles and thank yous for doing your job. You could not invent this level of double standard, but let us be honest, hypocrisy is basically part of the uniform now. It is not just The View, it is the entire media machine pretending to fight corruption while quietly going along with it, and there is Karoline Leavitt sitting back and watching it all fall apart right in front of her. Coming off her clash with Whoopi, she barely has time to breathe before another so-called progressive journalist jumps in, not to talk about the real scandal she just uncovered, but to go after her instead. Classic playbook: ignore the giant problem sitting in plain sight and target the person who pointed it out. This journalist acted like a power-hungry hall monitor, more focused on wording than truth. It is the same predictable formula. Step 1, ignore the scandal. Step 2, attack the person calling it out. Step 3, act like you just saved democracy. But Karoline kept her cool and cut straight through the noise with one quick line. She said, "Oh, I did not know that exposing corruption was less important than your obsession with fact-checking." Absolutely ruthless. The journalist, clearly shaken, kept trying to poke holes, nitpicking her phrasing, while ignoring the actual problem, doing a dance right out in the open. But by the time it ended, it was no longer a debate, it was a full-scale takedown. That journalist did not walk away looking like a truth-teller, more like a public relations intern for the very scandal Karoline had just exposed. And it really makes you think, how does she stay this sharp under pressure? Here is the secret: no script, no handlers, no keyword flashcards. She speaks straight from instinct.
I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous
While everyone else is running their words through PR teams and filtered focus groups, Karoline Leavitt just speaks plain, real, and unapologetic. She does not care about trendy buzzwords or whether her line fits perfectly into a headline. She skips the show. No fluff, no double talk, just direct, raw truth that hits harder than a dozen rehearsed speeches, while the left twists their words, doing mental backflips to avoid upsetting their own bubble. Leavitt cuts right through with boldness, proof, and clarity. She is not just speaking, she is delivering, and her critics can barely keep up. It almost feels unfair. While they are busy writing another outrage thread on X, still acting like it is 2016 Twitter, Leavitt has already taken their argument apart calmly and clearly before they even finish typing. In a world full of fake anger and empty phrases, Leavitt's straight honesty is not just refreshing, it is a complete game changer. Her realness is a real threat, especially to those whose entire platform is built on illusion, manipulation, and selective outrage.
She's a very nice-looking lady, but it isn't true that that's why she got the job. She got the job because she was the national spokesman for the campaign, and she did a very good job at that, in that role. And the campaign was hugely successful and communicated very effectively. That is why she got the job. Even if Karoline Leavitt weren't a pretty lady, even if she were a male, gremlin, monstrous-looking fellow, she still would have gotten the job based on how effective the campaign communications was. Furthermore, Karoline Leavitt ran for Congress. I was talking to Roger Stone about this when we were trying to figure out who the picks for the administration were going to be. He said, I think Leavitt's going to get the White House press sec job. I think she earned the job. And I like that she has been in the fire. She's run for office.
So when Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg tried to reduce her to just her appearance, it was not only cheap, it was completely pathetic. Let us call it what it really is. Envy. These women are not just upset, they are clearly threatened. Karoline's intelligence, calm under pressure, and rapid rise to national attention speak volumes, and that kind of momentum shakes people who have spent years yelling on television without much to show for it. So what is the strategy? Classic distraction, throw shade, launch shallow insults, and hope something sticks. It does not matter how ridiculous or empty, if it might pull her down. They are all in it. Feels like high school drama, just with more makeup and a daytime TV budget. But here is the thing, they cannot challenge her record because it is rock solid. They cannot win a debate because she cuts through them effortlessly. So they dig into the last chapter of the woke playbook, character attacks, and the usual excuse is she is only doing well because of Trump. When the facts fall short, jealousy gets louder. They complain, but ignore the reality that Karoline Leavitt was already making moves well before she ever entered the White House press briefing room. And let us be honest, would they ever say something like that about a progressive mom balancing career and family? Not a chance.
Now to the cackling witch herself, Joy Behar from The View, whose jealousy is something to behold. Here is her assessment of Trump's new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
The ever-empowering feminist, Joy herself, everyone. And this is why, of course, she's on The View and not working for the most powerful man in the world, because Karoline would wipe the floor with you bitter banshees any day.
The double standard is out of control, and the more they complain, the clearer it gets. This is not about politics, it is about jealousy. Just by showing up, Karoline Leavitt is winning the culture war, and her success is driving them into a frenzy. No one explains it better than Michael Knowles, but let us be honest, Leavitt is not dominating because of catchy one-liners. She is the real deal. Her confidence is not just for show, it comes from hard work and real-world experience. Remember her run for Congress. She was not some Gen Z influencer chasing clicks. She won the Republican primary and crushed her opponents, including Matt Mowers, a former Trump official who was expected to win easily, but spoiler alert, he did not. Yes, she eventually lost to Democrat Chris Pappas, but it was not a landslide. She gave the political establishment a serious scare. That campaign was not just a bullet point on a resume, it was real battlefield experience. Leavitt did not just show up in politics, she fought her way into it, and that is what really has them rattled, because in the actual world of politics, not the fantasy land filled with coffee-sipping, buzzword-loving pundits, she has proven she belongs.
CNN guy, Jim Acosta? Oh wait, he's not on CNN anymore. That's right. He was like, it was just so, I would say, you don't mind the aggressive questions, you take the aggressive questions, but it was just always to the point that it was like, how do you destroy Donald Trump? How do you destroy the individuals of staff? It was so, when they do say Trump derangement syndrome, and I do think that there's also Elon Musk derangement syndrome happening too with the media, because they don't know how to handle it. How do you view that differently from the first administration till now?
Well, first of all, since you brought up Jim Acosta, he's been saying some not so nice things about me online, and I've resisted responding, but since you brought him up, I'd like to say,
let's go.
Jim, at least I have a job, Jim, okay? Just say.
Karoline Leavitt's sharp responses are not just bursts of youthful energy, they are the result of real-world experience. She has taken real blows, stood firm, and come back even stronger, and that is exactly why the left cannot handle her. She represents everything they claim to support: smart, tough, and incredibly effective, but behind their staged applause they are clearly unsettled, because unlike the carefully selected voices they prop up, Leavitt actually knows how to win. Like we have said before, the women on The View are not just annoyed by her, they are clearly envious, and who can blame them while they sit on a couch repeating the same tired talking points. Leavitt is inside the White House, actually shaping national conversations. Let that sink in. They make noise, she makes news, and it is not just about job titles, it is about who holds the real influence, and they know it. They cannot match her intellect, they cannot handle her poise under pressure, and they absolutely cannot beat her in the political arena. So every time they go after her, it plays out the same way, with Leavitt standing strong and them trying to pick up the pieces.